This is the Prophetic Archive, Head of the Mount, Part 16. Thank you, Father God, for this time. Thank you because we are not the only ones watching over ourselves. You are completely watching over us. The only person who knows the most intimate parts of me is the Father. The only person I have no way of deceiving or mocking because he knows me, it's him. I can surely fool you or pull some trick on you, and that can happen with any human being, but the only one I cannot fool is the Father. I can stand before you and sing and cry and sniffle, and in the end, I could be doing all kinds of wrongdoing. And today everything might look fine, but not before the Father. The Father knows me. That is why when I acknowledge the Father, I'm also being sincere about who I am before him. There are people who don't even have the courage to worship the Father because they're afraid that he will say, "Look at this big liar, worshiping me, such a liar and a thief." Do you understand? But no, I need to say something to you liars and thieves, those who kill and wound with their mouths. No, set yourself free. You know what you have to say? "Father, here is your big liar. Here is your liar, telling you that I acknowledge that you love me." Listen, when the devil knows that you, knowing who you are, still not being your best self, and you are seeking God, he says, "And who are you that you're still coming looking for him anyways?" Well, I have already discovered that he is the one who is going to go for me. There are many who want to change, many who want to do what is right, but many live under certain bondages and certain confrontations that don't allow them to fully see liberation in their lives. But if you begin to declare and confess that your Father is the one who carries you, that your Father is the one who will set you free, then the devil will have to retreat. Because we are fighting battles against entities that we're only now getting to know. We know them because they have manifested, but not because we knew they were there. Many of you fight a battle and feel bad because you haven't been able to overcome it. But the first thing is, you didn't know what kind of entity was operating there. It's the manifestation what told you that it was there. How many of you have experienced that? Okay, so now you say, "Okay, I know you now. I didn't know you before. Now I have to depend on the Father so that he teaches me how to overcome you. But in the meantime, deal with me." So now I declare that he moves. No matter which way he has to, God moves in order to reach you. God spares no effort. No matter what, God has known how to pull me out from the very mouth of hell. Everyone here has been pulled out of the very mouth of hell. Hello? How many of you know that many times, there are people here who are listening here, that know how many times they were about to die? I am one of those. I am worse than a cat. How many lives does a cat have? 7. Well, I have been given about 700. I don't know what kind of animal they would have named me after, because if a cat gets 7, I have been given so many that I can sit here and say, this one and this one and this one too, here and here and here and there and here too. Listen, it is remarkable how God fights for people, including myself. Speaking in the first person, that you ask, wow, how many times? Let me tell you something. If you stop for a moment and think about how much God has fought for you, and you start to measure and wait and calculate how much you give back to him, you say, wait a minute. What does God want? What is he after with me? Why does he bet on me? He seeks me and he pulls me out, and he is the one running after me like Pastor Ingrid running after little Joshua. Joshua's making a mess, and Pastor Ingrid is behind him picking things up. And Ingrid is cleaning up, and Joshua is just throwing things away. And one day Joshua is going to have to sit down and think, wait, how much does my mom love me that I do what I do and she keeps cleaning after me? I hope today any wretch takes a moment to meditate on that. How much is it? And when you stop at that thought, you're like, wow, hold on. So understand the important thing here is to do it his way. And there's nothing more courageous than he wants from you than for you to acknowledge what he has done in you. Today's topic is Head of the Mounts and Shall Be Exalted Above the Hills. This series is a prophetic series where we are breaking down a word given to us through Apostle Ricardo Reyes. Isaiah 35 is the book and the chapter in which this series is grounded. It is a word we want to take hold of, one that comes breaking, pulling out all that yeast, breaking every entanglement, every tentacle that would prevent the prophetic destiny of God from being manifested in us. Do you know who has been the person who has prevented the prophetic destiny of God from coming to pass in you? You know who is it, right? You know it, right? It's you. That's right. I have been the very person who has stood most in the way of God's things being manifested in me. That's why the truth consists in this. His manifestations in me must take place. And there's no manifestation if you don't know how to handle the book of life, meaning the manual. This manual is not about past stories. No, this manual is about future stories. Because every time I speak of them, they no longer have to do with the present. Because my present, when we started, has already passed. So the manual of life comes so that I know how to manage my future. The future is not something God manages. Many say, well, Pastor, my future is in God's hands. No, that's a lie and a deception. Your future is in your hands. The future is something you manage, but the future is managed in the present. What I do today is what will have an impact on tomorrow. Write that down. That is why here we take adequate time to reorganize our future. Because people with a distorted past have such a wretched present. That's why we stopped to reorganize our present, which had been marked by the past, so that our future might be different. You can write that down. We always like things, like every human being, to happen like white magic or black magic. That you do some trick or a sacrifice or something so that everything changes. You know, everyone always has that tendency, right? One way or another, to make some kind of sacrifice so that things go the way they want. But these are quick sacrifices and everything is supposed to, poof, just change. That is how people like sacrifice. But remember that sacrifices have been abolished. There are no more sacrifices. Now, what there is assuming responsibility, taking on. It is an integral life, not a temporary one. Integral, constant, where I no longer have to pretend or put on a show, but I just have to simply be. Your great problem throughout life has always been that you wanted to become something, and by trying to become something, you got yourself into a lot of trouble. How many try to pass themselves off as rich? Did you get into trouble over that? How many try to pass themselves off as an attractive person? I got 3, 4, 5. And those who didn't raise their hands are the ones who really pretended to be. The rest are just sincere people. But the liars who didn't raise their hands, they were the ones scheming and doing all kinds of things that set in motion things that were never supposed to happen. How many tried to pass themselves off as cool? We always pretended, but we were never be. We weren't. And let me tell you, we were always more than we pretended to be. We have many values, many riches as people. But those spirits, those entities took advantage of our ignorance and abused us. Haven't you seen people who look quite presentable, who fit within society's stereotype? Because I don't believe in physical appearance. For me, there are no ugly women. There are only women who are poorly put together. There's not such thing as ugly, you understand? Every woman has a charm and every man has his charm, okay? The enemy just took advantage of people who wanted to fit within the quote unquote stereotypes of society. And the enemy planted the idea in them of saying, I look bad, I'm ugly, I look and this and that. Satanic, diabolical ideas that were created. And made people think that they didn't look good. And those people live in suffering because they didn't think they looked good. It's like the classic demon where women are waiting for their husband to say, baby, you look so good today, my love. And because sometimes he doesn't say it, they come here all sad. Simply because your husband didn't say, you look good, you know? Of course you should say it. But remember, your little animal is sometimes someone who gets thrown off by anything, okay? I know it sounded harsh, the little animal part, but you know what I mean? The devil is the one putting ideas in your head, saying, no, but he's not looking at me. I really don't know where women get the idea that because a man looks at everyone else supposedly and approving everybody else and saying nothing to them, they go, you see? You're looking at everyone and saying you look great, but what about me? I'm just standing here. Listen, what I want to say is two things. Number one, that you do have a say to say to your husband, you do have a right to say to your husband, that's fine. You have every right to do it. The one who cannot say, or you cannot say anything to is the neighbor next door. But to your husband, you can. But the second thing is, don't allow yourself to get bombarded into that mindset. Demanding isn't the problem, but don't carry that burden of forcing it, because sometimes it's not just one thing where you feel unvalued. Sometimes it becomes attention and everything, and you enter into that sense of rejection and contempt. And that's a blockage that starts forming in your life, because the devil always comes working wherever you give him the right. Hello? So we are heads, not tails. Heads are those who assume what they are. Write that down. Heads are those who assume what they are. That is why you need to weigh carefully what you are about to do. Is what I'm doing an action of the head? No. This is an action of a tail. Then don't do it, because it doesn't go with you. Because you can no longer behave the way you used to, or the way someone who doesn't know the Father behaves. I have many reasons to complain, but I don't complain because I know who I am. Can you write that down? We have many reasons to complain, but we don't do it because we are children. What makes the difference between us and the people of the world is our hope. Those in the world have no hope. You and I do. Those in the world live under misfortune, sadness, melancholy, depression, and you also. But I have hope that this will not overcome me, that I will overcome it, that I have a sure victory, that tomorrow will be different. Hello? That is your difference from a person of the world, from those who do not know, and you who know. It is that you have hope. And that hope is what moves, what energizes the spiritual world in your favor. So that what the devil had marked against you, through that hope that is in you, which comes from the faith of what you have believed, is turned to good in your life. This operates in a dimension that is not a magic wand, not simple cheap sorcery. These are high-level mysteries. What did I say? When we come to this place and we connect, we don't come to worship God. No, God is worshiped constantly. You come from worshiping God. If you come here to bless yourself or to purify yourself from all that sorcery, vagrancy, and sin you committed during the week, then you're not one of us. You're an infiltrator, because God is worshiped constantly. Nobody comes here to worship God. This place is not made for worshiping God. This place is made for connection with the prophetic dial of God as a body. Write it down. When we come here, we come to connect, to find out what the prophetic instruction is, where we are going, what we are truly called to do and to assume. This is where you receive the touch, the calling, the correction. Hey, sister, it's not like that. It was like this and like that. And you're like, oh, okay, thank you. These are prophetic connections that many times are what has been missing for sons and daughters to keep flowing, advancing, climbing, moving forward, and not staying in the same place. Because even though we don't go in for a lot of showmanship and spectacle, it's because we're focused on what we are called to do. But there are people who don't want that. There are people who prefer spectacle over focus because spectacle brings stimulation. What does spectacle bring? Stimulation. Wow, that was amazing. Everything was incredible. Wow, we had so much fun. I enjoyed myself so much. It doesn't have to be that every time you come or you connect here, you leave saying, wow, I enjoy so much. Nobody comes here to be entertained. I don't see how you can enjoy yourself when you are told that you're a thief and a gossiper and a manipulator. Are you enjoying yourself? Not at all. So you don't come here to have fun. You come here for a confrontation, for a declaration. Of course, you are not only a thief and a gossiper and a manipulator, but you're also a daughter. You come, you advance, you open the door. We move forward together. But all of that also has to be taken in with knowledge, not emotion, because we always want people to tell us pretty words. Oh, sister so-and-so, the Lord loves you so very much. And there you are crying. Listen, you don't need that show anymore because you already know it, okay? You don't need to keep performing whether he loves you or not. No, he loves me, period. That is my daily foundation. If one day I stop believing that he loves me, look, come find me at a psychiatric ward because that's where I will be. Because if I move for even a moment away from the thought that God's love is over me, guarding me, that will mess me up. Being ahead means assuming what you are. That is what it means to be ahead. It is not something delegated to you. Being ahead is what you are by divine nature. It is what God thought about you. Being ahead means being first. Write it down. But I have a little secret for you, because we were always sold the idea of being ahead as something very pleasant, and I'm going to throw it at you in a completely clear way. First, in misfortune is being ahead. Meaning, the first one the battle hits is you as the head, because the devil himself cannot go against the body or against those who depend on you without first passing through you. That is why many of you are fighting generational battles, battles already tied to your own bloodline, no longer just about you personally, but about the line itself. Because someone in that generational line has risen up to change the prophetic destiny of that line. Write it down. That is why being ahead is something very serious. It was never that emotional show of, I am the head and I'm not the tail. I'm going to buy a dress worth 10,000, 30,000, 4,000 because I'm the head. No, that was trickery. It sounded good, but it was trickery. Being ahead means being a model. Being ahead means being first in everything, both in abundance and in scarcity. And let me explain. The head must be experienced in all areas, and the head will always be a head in any confrontation it faces. But it is because it first needs to be tested. That is why heads are recognized as the people others seek for counsel. The people who, if something is about to happen in their bloodline, are the first to be shown it to. Do you understand? If you want to know that you are already operating as the head, then value it or begin to recognize it by the type of manifestation. Oh, people call me. I am the one sought after for counsel. Of course, I say me, but to say me is strong because you know the process that comes with being ahead. And it's not a small thing. I am ahead. Okay, great. What you're saying is you are the support and foundation of your bloodline. That is being ahead. It is commitment. The thing is, God has no lesser rank. Write that down. That is why being ahead is something to assume. It has nothing to do with a specific election. You do not have a calling to be ahead. Sister so-and-so, I call you to be the head of your bloodline. No. If you're the one who listened, then you're known to be the head because you are the one who listened. How many from your family are here? You might have a big group here from the same household. I don't know. But do you know who the head of that house is? The one who assumes. The one who assumes is the head. Oh no, Pastor, I'm the head because I was the one who preached to her. And since I preached to her, I'm the head. I'm your father in faith. No, the head is the one who assumes in the bloodline. And I'm speaking from the spiritual dimension, okay? Being a head is not a human boast. Oh, I'm the head because the Lord told me so. Listen, if the Lord said that, I feel for you, brother. I'm sorry. And when I say I'm sorry, I mean you have a lot of responsibility and a lot of work. It is serious. It is not a game. It is not boasting. It is a commitment. I did not ask to be the head of my bloodline. I didn't desire it or requested it. You understand? It fell on me because I assumed. I took on. Hello, what did I say? Now, remember something interesting. The word says, well, to whom much is given, much will be required. Do you understand now why someone becomes the head? You got into learning more, into assuming more, into deeper prophetic connections, assuming, ordering, setting things in order, breaking, liberating, ordering. You are given more. Therefore, more will be demanded of you. In other words, you who used to behave like a child, like a wayward or inconsistent teenager, the commitments and the demands will lead you to now have a more responsible, more mature attitude. You will have a more sober, more serious behavior because you know or because you feel that you have a lot of work. And the great thing is that this work is unlike any other. Because in a regular job, if you do something wrong, what will happen is that you can get fired. But here, if you do something wrong in this job, it can mark you, which is worse. Can you write that down? In a regular job, if you do something wrong, you can get fired. But here, if you do something wrong, you can get marked. That's why heads, they themselves fight and strive to connect to the prophetic dial because they need it given the demand they are under. Those who have not yet felt that they are ahead or have not identified that they are one are very casual about their connection. But not the heads. Heads need to hear the prophetic dial. They need a prophetic connection like this one. They need to listen because their demand requires tools to face what is being demanded of them. Because I say it again, here, making mistakes leaves marks. When you were in the world, you did whatever you wanted, and you would say, well, before I did all kinds of things and it didn't bring me much. It didn't bring me that much trouble. It's not that trouble didn't come. You lived inside trouble. How many of you didn't just wake up in the morning, every morning in December, completely hungover? Hungover and wrecked, blown out, always. And always with that sadness and that melancholy in the morning. Because everyone who drinks, smokes, and uses drugs is always doing it, looking for hope and looking for an escape. Many want to stay in it. Do you know why people drink through the night until the morning? It is to stay in that escapism, to forget, to avoid falling back into reality. Hello? We're at a party. We're going to keep it going all night. Let's keep it going. They're saying, oh, I don't want to lose this happiness. I want to stay in this. Wow. You want the night to become 300 nights in a row. Because when morning comes, reality hits. The demand requires connection with prophetic destiny. Prophetic destiny comes through the prophetic connections of your apostolic ministry. Listen carefully. The word declares that Christ is the head of the body. Who is the body? We are. Do you know that the prophetic destiny of God in all of its fullness, you won't be able to accomplish it alone apart from the body? You know why? Because the prophetic destiny of God is so vast, so deep, so lofty, something so matchless that for us to see it in all of its manifestation, it must be as a body. Do you know why? Because not one of us alone will be able to achieve it. That's why we teach and respect each member of the body, because it is important. Every piece of this body is important. Every piece it is. This body will not function correctly if all of its members are not exercising their place, if they're not operating correctly, if they do not assume their place correctly. There might be problems. And this also applies within a family. If a family does not coordinate well, they will not be able to connect with or administer the full manifestation of the prophetic purpose of God in their lives. They will scatter. The problem of human beings is not that God doesn't give to them. That is a fatal error and deception. To human beings, God always gives. Listen to me, always. The problem of human beings is that they don't know how to administer what God has given them. Meanwhile, the mindset the devil has put in people is that you have spent your life more captivated by what someone else has than by what has been given to you in this life. Yes, because there are people who feel miserable because they say, wow, I wish I'd be like Sister Angela, Okay, ask the pastor about Angela and let him tell you so that you can see. Listen, everyone has their own struggle and battle. Everyone. Everyone fights their own devils and demons. Everyone. But everyone also has their own riches. What happened is that you spend half of your life so focused on someone else's life instead of assuming what was yours and knowing how to administer it correctly. The sun rises for everyone, meaning everyone has had the same opportunity. Everyone has opportunities. What happens is that from a materialistic mindset, you always equate what is good with material things, when what is good has to do with satisfaction. Write it down. The materialistic mind believes that what is good has to do with material things, when what is good has to do with satisfaction. People think that the super rich eat some super bionic food and do outlandish things in some unimaginable way that no ordinary person could ever dream of because they're rich. My friend, human beings all do the same things. The same things. Listen, no one is Superman. Everyone used to believe that Michael Jackson was some kind of being that floated in his room and had some camera thing. When Michael Jackson died, they showed his bedroom identical to anybody else's. Like any other bedroom. Normal. A room, a bed. There was nothing there that you would say, wow. But since childhood, they told us he had everything there. But he was a completely normal person. This media marketing would make us feel like, no, look, that guy is not normal. Look, he is normal. He was normal. But we live, and even those who like what happened with Britney Spears, you like that spectacle. And you know what? If you do, and whoever does that is a lunatic, a crazy person. Marketing campaigns, media campaigns lead you to think things about everyone. I don't believe the bad or the good. I believe none of those, because media campaigns make people think one thing, but it's all to accomplish something at a level that leads you to think those things that are not correct in order for them to achieve their goal. Just as simple as that. So I don't care about any of those people. I'm looking at my own plank. So you keep your speck over there. I'm working on my plank. What did I say? Where is your plank? Where is your plank? Being ahead is a responsibility where we have great commitments and great challenges, but we will have great riches. Can you write that down? Remember, when I speak of head, I am telling you that the head, symbolically speaking, is the one who is being called upon for the mysteries and the wisdom of the kingdom in order to carry out the project of God here on earth. It is the stage in which you are operating until Christ comes. Many of you connected to an apostolic ministry, thinking or hoping to find liberation in your life. Many came to ministries like this looking to be healed spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and materially. And that was the motive that brought everyone here. Okay, congrats. I congratulate you all. But the problem with this is that, okay, that part was valid, and that's fine. You already know through the knowledge that you have that. Congrats. But what you didn't know was that now the exciting part of what you wanted is there. And now what? Oh, now we're just going to enjoy some little songs. No, there are no little songs here. Do you know what there is here? There is responsibility, there is mission, there is vision, there is purpose in which you, who were a wanderer, you who thought you weren't good for anything, now you see that you're just not anybody. And if you're just not anybody and you are someone, then that someone and that something is for you to put into action now. Because if today you discover that you are more than you are someone, then you have something to give. Now, we're not going to stay in the great rejoicing of, I am someone. No. The problem is not whether I am someone. The problem is whether you are assuming what you already know who you are. The manual says, give freely what you have freely received. Do you know what your misfortune is? That you have received a lot. Uh-oh. Now you're thinking about how you are going to give. And when you look at the scale of what you have received, you're afraid. How many of you have experienced that? The great challenge is that you have to give freely what you have freely received. But when you measure what you have received, you say, wow, how much do I have to give? Just thinking about it, you're walking around troubled. There are people who wish they could resign or hide right now. But remember, the devil doesn't want you anymore because there's nowhere for you to fall now. Do you know why? Because the very truth that you know now, that is in you, demands of you. It demands. Someone said the other day, very funny, that they said, oh, I cannot fail. I cannot fail because just thinking that the pastor's just going to pull me back. I better not even try it. And he was thinking about me, but that's nothing. How about the Holy Spirit? The only person who doesn't know who they are is the one who has not yet connected. The one who connects learns who they are. Connection is not momentary. Connection is eternal. If my connection has stopped a month ago, there might have been something about myself I would have not known today. Therefore, I would not have assumed what has fallen to me today, since my connection only went as far as last month. Do you understand? What I want to say is that the prophetic dial is like the secret that leads you to the dream of God being manifested in you every day. Just as the devil has dreamed of you, what was the devil's dream? To see you as a schizophrenic in the madhouse. The devil had big plans for you. For me, it was just to kill me when I was tiny. Right there, when I was tiny, boom. A coconut fell on my mother's head while I was in her belly. A coconut. While she had me in her belly. You all already know what that wretch wanted to do to me. That devil. He wanted it so bad so that no one would even know the color that I was going to be. You know, it sounds funny, but through knowledge, you are going to understand where God has delivered you from. Through knowledge, you will know because the Holy Spirit will show you everything He has done for you from the very womb until today. And there is where each day you will take on courage, righteousness, and maturity to assume what is yours to do as the head.